G'day guys, welcome back to a new episode of the Boundary Riders podcast, and of course a lot to talk about today in the football world. We're going to be going through a massive gather round that just occurred, a couple of stuff that happened over the weekend, some big news stories, and of course we'll be having our AFL Fantasy AFL tips to cover in this episode of the Boundary Riders podcast. So let's roll the intro and get straight into it.
And then Rankin from the pocket, don't tell me, Isaac Rankin!
Yeah. He's just got the license for a brothel.
Well, I think Gather Round's going to be AFL this next season.
Hill gets at the handle at the back, Nick Dacos to get the pies home! He's done it!
So guys, as always, we are joined by my brother, the red one, with me today. Absolutely got scorched in the sun, didn't you, in Mount Barker on Saturday afternoon with the Swans game. But you didn't. I think Gather Round was an absolute success this time around. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was better than last season, and I think they just need to keep reinventing it in a way.
Yeah, keep on going and keep on evolving with it. I think it was a very good Gather Round. We'll talk about Gather Round in a minute, more about that, but we do have some breaking news stories to cover. So, a couple of incidents that happened over the weekend on the suspension front. One was with Fogarty. Get over yourself, bro. Fogarty, whatever. He has accepted his one-match ban, but Kasiah Pickett, for his hit on Saligo, has decided to challenge it. Now, the Pickett hit on Saligo wasn't a massive hit. Saligo got up pretty quickly, and he played out the whole game and was one of the best on ground. Was probably the best for the Crows. But he's done this multiple times, Pickett. The amount of times he goes in with these bumping actions, do you think it will get overturned? This is obviously, we're recording this on a Monday, so more likely this comes out Wednesday morning, so you guys actually may not, you guys will know what happens, but on our thoughts, I think he'll keep stay a week.
I think it should, and it has to, in my opinion. The fact is that he jumped up again, he launched it himself again, and he collected it. He collected Saligo, and I'm sick of the fact is, if he gets injured, it's based on the injury that occurs. He shouldn't now. If they want to take the head knock seriously
and the action out of the game,
they need to actually get suspend the player before the injury occurs.
Yeah, to try and stop the action happening.
Yeah,
I think that's what they've kind of sort of steered toward that direction in the first month or so of the season. We've kind of noticed that if something is out of the order, like the Peter Wright incident, of course, people can say that he was trying to protect himself, but at the end of the day, he could have gone up for the mark and could have done something different, or could have done something more to protect the player in front of him. Yeah. So, I kind of agree with you. I think it will stay a week. Lockie Fogarty, we saw that live. He did have his eyes on the ball until the last second. But the last second he did, look away, look at Fife, and then went to hit him. And I think a week is fair enough on his front as well. Obviously, one thing that did happen on Friday night was a very bad incident that happened. Finlayson was caught yelling a homophobic, that's the word, slur at an Essendon player, was called out, and he did admit to doing it and came out with an apology on Sunday. Now, there hasn't been a ruling as of yet. The AFL are still looking into the punishment, and they have said that they will be making a decision before the next round starts. So that's obviously on Thursday night. So I hate the fact that they haven't said what it is. I know that it's obviously a bad thing that he has done, obviously. But I hate, and we're going to get into that with the Jordan Clark stuff later, but the fact that they haven't told us what it is so that we can come to our own conclusions as well, I just hate that. It's not like, I am not going to get angry or upset, or I don't think a homosexual person would get upset if Andrew Dillon comes out and says what he said, what Jeremy Finlayson said. I hate that argument of, we're not going to tell you what it is. We can't repeat it. Bro, we are old. The majority of people looking at this are over the age of 12. Okay? And if someone under the age of 12 sees what they said, as a parent, you should go, this word that this person said is not, you should not be saying that. It's a bad word, don't do it. Okay? That's your role as a parent, okay? If your kid sees it, which by the way, they shouldn't be on social media, if they're at the age of 12, let's be fucking real. But if they do somehow see it, explain to them, sit them down and say, look, there's nothing wrong with the Port Adelaide Football Club or whoever the hell they barrack for, okay? You don't have to go that far. But Jeremy Finlayson said something really bad, and he should be rightfully punished for it.
Yeah.
Okay? That's all you have to do. I fucking hate that shit from the AFL. Now, I'll try and read a couple of quotes from what has been said. Andrew Dillon was asked whether the punishment for Finlayson should be a captain's call made by him. Dillon indicated that lay with football boss Lauren Kane and the General Counsel. We've got really extensive rules and regulations that deal with that, and ultimately it's a call for our football department and General Console. They'll make that when they've got all the information in front of them. So basically, it's going to be an AFL decision, which, I mean, it's probably was always going to happen.
I think, to be honest, I think it needs to happen.
Yeah, and I think it feels like the AFL will make more of a harsher maybe decision as well. You know, I don't think the club, they obviously still got to think about themselves and the games that they got to play. And Jeremy Finlayson, look, he hasn't been that good this year, but he's an important player for them. So I think they would take a little bit more of a less harsh approach. That's what they did with the Taylor Walker stuff a couple of years ago. They took the decision out of the Crows' hands. Yeah. So I think that's how it's going to go as well. But yeah, obviously not very good from Jeremy Finlayson at all. And yeah, I mean, he's an AFL player. He does need to be a role model for people. And I don't like that because I think that they are humans at the end of the day. But when they are saying stuff like that, maybe that needs to be called out and needs to be punished for it. So let's talk about Gather Round. Before we get into some news about the Gather Round coming up next year, I just want to talk about our experience because we went to 7 of the 9 games. We missed the Brisbane game in Norwood. We watched it on like the phones and whatever, and the St Kilda game as well. So we got a good wrap of like the votes and stuff for it. But we went to all the games at Adelaide Oval. We watched the second half of the Carlton v Fremantle game. What a finish!
The most entertaining.
Well, I did piss off a Collingwood supporter in the last game, so I was pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that as well. First game started with Adelaide v Melbourne. Quite a good game. Adelaide kind of felt like Adelaide were always going to lose it in the end, and they did come back, but at the end of the day, they didn't play very well. No. So they were very lucky to come back and make it a 14-point game. I think they kicked the last 5 goals of it. But yeah, Port Adelaide smashed Essendon. The Essendon edge looked fucking dreadful.
I didn't know. I didn't think it was the thing.
Yeah, you still haven't seen it. I saw it for a half against Sydney, and it was very exciting. Yeah, they got a player suspended for 4 weeks, so good on you, Essendon edge. I feel like Brad Scott would be fucking ropeable.
Well, if you hear what people are saying on the radio, it's just like, if that's what they're going to do... No, sorry, what they've said is, what's the difference between 2019, 2021 and 2024? Nothing. Nothing has changed. It's the same...
Well, I think they're in for a tough year too, because they've only played a half against Sydney, that people were excited about, good or bad, whatever, they were talked about. And then St Kilda, they were good for a half. Yeah, and that was the second half, and St Kilda stopped. Yeah. And they had the assistance of good old Riley Bonner with the 17 turnovers. Yeah. So, look.
They beat Hawthorn in round 1 when Hawthorn couldn't kick straight.
Yeah, exactly. They won because Hawthorn didn't take their chances. Yeah. So I think Essendon could be in for a really tough year if they don't turn it around. Because we have seen in years gone by that Essendon don't play a full season as well. They've played half a season, they start off well like they did last year and then end poorly. Or they go the other way, start horribly, and then they end the season on a high note and sometimes can scrape into finals and make up the numbers. Yeah. So is that going to happen again? Who knows? But something needs to seriously change because a couple of important games coming up as well. Anzac Day is only a couple of weeks away as well. And if they go into Anzac Day with only 2 wins, Anzac Day is going to be a fucking shocker. So, yeah, that's that sort of game. Saturday game, Sydney versus West Coast. You would have heard my disgust from Sydney's first half in the review. I haven't even filmed the rest of the review yet. It will be out on Tuesday morning, so you guys would have already seen it. But Sydney's first half were fucking dreadful.
I think it was the worst Sydney's played in a long time. That first half of football.
They didn't want to tackle. It was bruise-free footy, and it was terrible. Second half, they improved a little bit. And that was enough to beat West Coast by 28 points.
If they were playing pretty much, I think the 16.
I think even North Melbourne would have beaten them.
If the other 16 other teams in the AFL, they would have lost.
Yeah, good game from Harley Reid though.
It was nice to see. It was like people have been hyping this kid up for so long, and he hasn't. To be honest, I don't think he's shown it until I saw him live. And
he was shrugging off players with ease, and he was one of that. He's definitely going to be a.
He'll be a player. He'll be a player.
Yeah, we know he's going to be. We've obviously heard it. I've proceeded with a bit of caution. You don't want to fucking call him Ben Cousins or Chris Judd in the first 3 games.
No,
and I'm not calling him that after that game either. But it was a very good performance from him.
Yeah.
And we obviously saw Jeremy McGovern as well. He was back. He looked good for West Coast. But look, they were playing a fucking terrible Sydney side in that first half. Hence why they led the game. And in the second half, Sydney improved slightly, which meant that John Hunt and I gave an absolute fucking grilling, and they pulled their finger out slightly to win that game. Honestly, at the moment, Sydney are worrying me a little bit. They've had they've had 2 poor performances in a row. I think the buys actually came at a pretty good time for them, so maybe it will help them, but we'll have to wait and see on that front as well.
Yeah.
After that was this Fremantle v Carlton game. We'll get into the Jordan Clark stuff because we want to get into that a little bit later. It was a good game of footy. It was a good second half.
Yeah.
We watched a bit of the first half. I think that was the one thing against Gather Round for especially the Saturday. They spaced the games out weirdly. I wish they started the Swans game at 12 like they did the Giants game on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then they put the Carlton game at 4:10 instead of 3:40. Because you couldn't watch. Luckily, we got a pretty good drive down from Mount Barker all the way down to Adelaide. We got a pretty good ride, but there were a lot of other people that probably didn't. Yeah. Especially in the parking situation in Mount Barker was pretty fucking dreadful. We were lucky that we found a park. It took us about an hour to find a park.
Yeah, and there was
and there wasn't much signage either.
No, that's the thing. There was no signage, so that's what they need to improve on in the country games. When
they need to have better. If they don't, obviously, I'm not expecting them to build more infrastructure for it. I'm not expecting that because it's a one thing. They have 2 games there a year. I'm not saying that, but they need to do something a little bit better with the way they structure it, which I thought may have improved from last year. I don't know how it was last year because we didn't go up to Mount Barker, but that was a little bit disappointing. And it was a lot better on the second day when we knew what we were doing. Yeah. But for someone like on the first day when we didn't know what we were doing, there was no signage anywhere really, except for like one sign that was written on a piece of paper. And even then, that was about a 40-minute walk from that bus stop, I think. And there were buses going to the game, but I could imagine it would have been very difficult to get there.
Yeah.
So that's just the talk of that. But it was good to see the ground. It looked really nice. It was a little bit dull because you wouldn't have seen this if you watched this on TV. But on the side of the cameras, there is no crowd on that side of the ground. It's barely any. It's like a couple of members.
It's the broadcast.
It's the broadcast side, and there's a huge gap area of grass. So on the vision, on the footage, sorry you had to listen to Kelly Underwood by the way, but fucking you would have seen that there was not much, it took away the atmosphere of it.
Yeah.
And I think they just kind of dropped a little bit, which I think would have been a lot better at Norwood. So but overall it was a really nice place to go to. Yeah, I thought it was very good for footy, and if they do have like lower teams down there or teams that don't bring up much of a crowd, I think it's a very, very good drive. Very good place to go to, and hopefully they improve it in the next couple of years. Carlton v Fremantle, very good second half. Very good second half that we saw. I will get into it later more, but I'm very disappointed the umpires ruined the last 40 seconds of it. And then in the Geelong v Bulldogs game, another really good game in the second half. The first half was an absolute snooze fest. Yeah. But the atmosphere was there. People were having a laugh, and I think that's really good. I did enjoy the game as well, and I was getting really into it. I was barracking for the Bulldogs. You were barracking for the Bulldogs. Yeah. People around us were barracking for the Bulldogs, and I kind of noticed as well, like there were so many different like teams that people were wearing, and I thought it was really cool. I think that's a really good thing I've gathered around. But people were like always barracking for the team, like the lower team or the one that didn't, like the less successful team. They wanted the team. They wanted the underdog to win. I think that's an Australian thing. And we were always barracking for them. But sadly, they didn't get over the line. They were close to stealing it.
Well, I think it was 2 players in that game that nearly won it for the Bulldogs. And
what a game from the young kid, Buku Kamas, I've got to say. He had some big moments. But Bontempelli was the standout.
And seriously, like, you don't know how good that he really is, Bontempelli, till you see him live. Yeah, that was it was a great performance by Bontempelli.
Yeah. Then we moved to Sunday, GWS versus the Gold Coast, the Expansion Cup. What a game.
Oh, we lived up to the hype, didn't it?
Oh, 100%. I think it was bigger than the grand final. They had actually more of a crowd at that game than the Sydney West Coast game, which was actually quite interesting. I think also but the reason for that was because it was spaced out better on Sunday, I felt. Yeah. Because you kind of thought, if you're not going to be able to get to the Norwood game, but you could go to the first game and then go to the Collingwood-Hawthorn game at the end of the day. Yeah. Which was a fucking banger. But it was a good performance from the Gold Coast. I thought they played pretty well in the last quarter. They kind of tapered off, which was a little bit disappointing. But the Giants, did what they had to do. I'm still not a believer of the Giants just yet because they've beaten Collingwood, who are terrible at the first round, let's be honest, in the first couple of rounds. And they've beaten they've beaten North Melbourne, they've beaten West Coast, two of the bottom teams, let's be honest, and then they've beaten the Gold Coast. Yeah. So I still think they need to beat some top teams before I start believing in them a little bit more, but they are a very good team at the moment.
Yeah. Listening to some of the Gold Coast fans, that they're saying that, they lost, but they've shown a lot more in this start of the first 5 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
So,
and it was really interesting to see as well, because you don't really expect that there's many Gold Coast or GWS fans in the country, really. But especially in South Australia. I know you do have a couple of people at your job that do barrack for the Gold Coast, which is fucking weird. But anyway, I never really even thought there would be that many. But there was a lot of people. There was a lot of people who were supporting of different other teams. But there were a lot of Gold Coast and GWS supporters there. So it's good to see that the game's evolving with more supporter bases as well. Yeah. I did notice as well the GWS supporters especially and the Gold Coast were quite young. Yeah. So I think it's good that the way the GWS management on social media and stuff is reaching a new demographic.
And it is working.
It's definitely working. Yeah. I definitely agree with that. Didn't really see much of the St Kilda Richmond game. I will tell you that St Kilda played a pretty poor first half. Fucking dreadful. They kicked 1 goal and they really only showed up for the third quarter. They kicked 6 goals in that third quarter, which broke them back in front, and then they were able to hold on. I think a lot of St Kilda supporters are pretty impressed by the fact that they were able to come back and do well. It's a very interesting ground, Norwood, I will say. Very skinny.
And the straight boundary line. It is straight.
Brisbane, North Melbourne, I forgot about that game because I think everyone did, let's be real. Yeah. Brisbane did what they had to do. They won their first game of the season.
Back to back. If you wanted to get back into form, Brisbane, that was the game to do it.
Yeah, because Sydney couldn't do it against the West Coast. But yeah, it was a good performance from the Lions. They did well. Joe Danaher was big again. And then the last game. Oh boy, what a game it was.
Oh, was it? Do you think it was game of the season? Match of the season?
Oh, it would have been up there so far. It was a fucking absolute massive.
It lived up to the hype.
The second half did. The first half, Hawthorn didn't show up. No. And Collingwood did what they had to do.
Well, I think it was like 5 goals in a row before half time to go to about 38-point lead.
Yeah, 38-point lead at half time. Yeah. Hawthorn did okay in the third quarter. I don't know what happened, but the fact that Blake Hardwick was the one that carried them on their back playing forward. You showed me a statistic after the game. He hadn't kicked 3 goals in his career or something.
In a season.
In a season, yeah. And he kicked 3 goals in that third quarter, got his team back in it, and was absolutely starring in that game. He was so dangerous up forward. He kicked an early goal in the fourth, brought his team right back into it. Big goal from a couple of players. Jack Ginnivan kicked a goal as well, celebrated in the goal square. That was big. We were barracking for Hawthorn. We were sitting amongst a couple of Hawthorn supporters, a lot of Collingwood supporters. I was able to piss off a Collingwood supporter next to me. He had to try to talk. Because, look, I'm going to be honest with you. If you're not yelling out funny things at the players, whatever, they can't hear you. You can have a joke and a laugh. If you're yelling out funny things, that's the fun of going to a football game. Releasing your stresses of life. Because guess what? These players are getting paid 6 figures to play this game. You think they give a fuck about what I say? Get a grip. So anyway, a Collingwood supporter tried to have a talk to me and tell me to I don't know what he was trying to say. It's why don't you just calm down? Oh, no, he didn't say that, because if he did, I would be like, okay, maybe he's got a point. I was just having a laugh. But he was trying to defend Nick Dacos because I made a couple of jokes about him or whatever. And I was like, bro, I don't even barrack for the Hawthorn. I'm just having a laugh. And you could see it because I was sitting there laughing the whole time. And this Collingwood supporter had a real go. And then what I thought was hilarious, which I think was the funniest part of the whole thing, was he went off to grab a beer, and when he came back, his wife told him to sit between his kids because he was feeling a bit sad. So that made me have a good chuckle as well. And I kept on making gestures or whatever, because because Blake Hardwick was having a massive game. And I was just yelling out like, "Oh, they're shaking, Maynard! They're shaking!" Because Maynard was manning him up, and I was saying he was scared. Obviously, they couldn't really hear me anyway. Even if they did, I don't think Braden Maynard's going to give a fuck about what I say. Do you think he cares? And if that did piss him off, I will take that as a badge of pride. Honestly, because let's be honest, who cares? He won a premiership last year. He doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And I just think it's hilarious. Like if you were a West Coast fan at the game on Saturday and you said something about Errol Goulden ducking or something, I wouldn't care. I don't get why people do. It's so weird to me that they get so defensive of a player. Because, I mean, I get it. Like, they're your team. But at the end of the day, let's be honest, they can't hear you. So they don't care. They have to deal with it all on social media all the time and get it, like, to seen to them. They can't hear someone yelling from the boundary line.
No.
500 metres away from them. They're too busy focusing on the job that they're doing.
Yeah.
Now, let's speak about jobs in football that people aren't doing very well at the moment. Because the fucking umpiring lately has been an absolute joke.
Yeah.
And I think that was the one disappointing point of Gather Around, was there was a couple of games that the umpiring was not... There was some big moments that the umpires did not take. The one thing I will start with is, if you're a goal umpire and you have to review 4 times on decisions that are in front of you, and you're in the best position in Adelaide Oval, you shouldn't have the job if you're calling for a review every 10 seconds.
No. And I thought the worst one was at Mount Barker in the Gold Coast Giants game. And it's literally... I can't remember who marked it. I think it was McAndrew who marked the ball on the boundary line, on the goal line. He marks it clear as day, inside play. The goal umpire asked for the review. He's literally standing right there. He says, "Oh, can we get a score review on that?" He's literally a metre in.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, there was a couple of fucking shockers. But, of course, we have to talk about the Jordan Clark dissent. Now, if you were watching this, you would not know how much it sucked the atmosphere out of the ground when he got that free kick, when Matt Kennedy got that free kick in front of goal, 30 metres out after that dissent call.
Yeah.
So, we were barracking for Fremantle because they were the team below. They were the underdogs of the game. There was a lot of Carlton fans as well. You know, understandably, they were pretty excited about the comeback. I will say one thing: Fremantle shouldn't have lost from there. They had a pretty good lead, and they conceded 4 goals in the last 5 minutes, and dropped the game. But at the end of the day, that's not what we're really here to talk about. We're talking about the controversy with Jordan Clark. So, Jordan Clark gave away a dissent free kick, which was Matt Cottrell kicked the goal. It was going back to the middle. Jordan Clark said something. The umpire took it as he was getting abused, and he paid a dissent decision. Now, at the time, no one knew what happened, really. We all thought that maybe someone got hit behind play. No one was really looking. At first we thought maybe because we thought the ball was touched when it happened originally. Because we saw that, all the Freo players were running around saying, "That is touched. What are you talking about?" It came off James H's arm. You can see the ball got deflected on the broadcast. So for Kane Corns to say hit his hair, I get that was the first instance, but you can see in the replay that the ball deflected a pretty big distance when it came off James H's arm, and the umpire called a mark. And we thought at first, and people around us thought, that the other umpire called touched, and the other one called a mark. So it was paid a mark to Matt Cottrell. He went back, kicked the goal. Then Jordan Clark got angry at himself, because for some reason, I can't remember, but he then yelled out something. We'll talk about that in a minute. But he yelled out something, and the umpire took it as he was getting abused or something. And then the umpire gave him a dissent free kick 30 metres out, which killed the game.
Yeah.
So there's still about 40 seconds on the clock when Cottrell kicked that goal to give Fremantle a chance to get another one in the middle. Yeah. They were doing pretty well in the middle as well, so there's no guarantee that could have turned the game. And we know that doesn't change it. That still can be a bad decision. They can't change it at the end of the day. But we saw with Ben Keys last year, a lot of Crow supporters how disappointed they were about that decision because they would have been in front.
Yeah.
And people can say, "Oh, there was still 40 seconds." other things would have happened, but at the end of the day, that would have changed the game. So they gave away the descent call. Matt Kennedy got the free kick, turned around, kicked the goal, killed the game off. The atmosphere got sucked so hard out of the fucking ground because if it did go back to the middle, there was still so much tension in the game. No one knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
There was 40 seconds on the clock. Freeman will get that clearance. Who knows what happens? They could get up forward. Fucking Amos could jump up, take a big mark, have a shot on the siren. Massive moment. Even if that mark was not a mark, that would still be. There's still atmosphere in the air.
Yeah.
But the game just got sucked out because the umpire made a dissent decision. Now look, I'm not saying they have to get rid of the dissent rule, but if you're in the heat of the moment and you say something, just take it on the chin and maybe talk to the player after the game. If worse comes to worse, if it is that bad, send it to the fucking tribunal the next week.
Yeah.
If you have to fucking get your big fucking head into the game, get your finger up and say, oh no, ruin a fucking big game and a big moment of football, and you take that to heart to the point where you take a game away from a team, a potential chance for a team, you shouldn't have the job. And that may be a big thing to say, but if you can't take the F word in this situation, get another job. Go work in IT. Because that is fucking ridiculous that he's took that game from them. Now, after that, on social media, former umpire Michael Pell came out and said, the irony is that all of this, that I warned Jordan Clark in the COVID 14v14 nothing game, when he was a spoiled brat and carrying on that he needed to stop abusing umpires. Guess he still hasn't learned stinky attitude, and any wonder of Geelong were happy to see him at the back of him. Okay. Now, first of all, if you don't know who Michael Pell is, he is the guy who was in the controversy, the scandal of betting on players for the Brownlow. So, great source there. Shut up, Michael. How about you stop betting on the fucking betting on fucking Brownlow favourites? You loser. Second, Geelong held him for an extra 12 months at the club, so they weren't happy to get rid of him. And third, Fremantle came out and said that he's a pretty good guy. So who am I going to take the fucking thought of? Fremantle or Michael Pell, who may be related to George Pell? We don't know. Okay, maybe that's a bit far. But anyway, just fuck off, you absolute shit stain, Michael Pell, you wanker. And for all the outlets on the AFL, fucking Fox Footy, Channel 9, all these sort of outlets, taking his word as gospel, fuck all of them as well. Because they were more than happy to report on how bad this guy is, about the betting stuff that he was doing. But as soon as they can make money off of a different situation, that's right. It's all about the money. Yeah. It's all about the money. They can sit there and have a whinge on one thing, but then as soon as they can make money out of this guy, he's back in the limelight. He's all good. So whatever. And look, he's not allegedly he bet money on. He took, he made bets on Brownlow votes. So on the Brownlow. Yeah. So allegedly, but let's be honest. Anyway, so then it came out, and then we got to the lead of the AFL, Andrew Dillon. He came out and said, I can't repeat what was said. Fuck you. Tell us what you said. We know what it is, but tell us. We're all big people. We're all adults. We can hear it. The mark wasn't there in the first place. We acknowledged that was a mistake, but the dissent decision was correct. Okay. You have shown me a report of what was allegedly said by Jordan Clark. Now, I've got the video clip up here. You won't have to see it. You just have to hear it. I've got my volume up on my phone so you guys can all hear this. This is what allegedly Jordan Clark said. Okay, fuck you.
So I can tell you today that the reason Jordan Clark was penalised for dissent. So what happened, of course, when he gave up that telling contest to Matt Cottrell, at the end of that, he used the words to the effect of, you effing idiot, Jordan. Now, he had been verbally challenging the umpires all day. I think he acknowledges that to some of his teammates, and so you can absolutely understand why the umpire thought he was directing it at him.
But he said Jordan.
That's what he says. That's what he says. And so I think when Alex Pearce went to clarify that with the umpires, they said we didn't hear exactly what was said, but we felt it was demonstrative there. So I can tell you.
So the umpire didn't exactly hear what he said, and he's more than happy to pull a potential 4 points from Fremantle. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
You didn't even hear what he said, and you take away 4 points, a potential 4 points from a football club.
So he said he didn't hear him, but because he was looking at him when he said this alleged quote, he gives him a free kick. Like, come on, give me a break. Like, you're in the heat of the battle. A minute to go in the game. Everyone knows it, and you suck the atmosphere straight out the ground.
You gave no chance for the other team.
No.
I understand the marking situation more because it was a very fine touch.
Yeah.
Okay? I think that one of the umpires, because there's fucking 4 of them out there, one of them should have seen it. It was touched.
Yeah.
But even though they don't have you would think that they're so fucking blind, you think their hearing would be a little bit better, wouldn't you? But no, they couldn't hear that either. Fucking idiots. This is why people get so fucking angry on the umpiring. And it was interesting as well because the game after it, there was a little bit of umpiring issues late in the game for Geelong when they got a free kick late. And all the people around us were like, oh, they've ruined another fucking game from the umpiring. It happened before, it's happened now. Like all the neutral supporters. I thought that was very interesting. And people are getting more and more frustrated at the umpiring because it is a huge issue in the game. They are getting worse. It is obvious. And nothing is getting done about it. So, I know we've got a bit angry about this. I understand. But even if Jordan Clark said something really bad, like, unless he said something like, I'm going to hurt you, unless he threatened the umpire or said something like homophobic, like Jeremy Finlayson did. Very interesting that wasn't given a free kick, yet it was caught. Why wasn't that given a free kick? The umpire got it caught in the mic. Another player acknowledged it.
Yeah.
Jeremy Finlayson admitted to it, yet nothing was rewarded.
Exactly. Yeah.
But a guy who stands there and says, fuck, he gets 4 points taken away, no chance of 4 points for his team, ruins a whole 23 and the fans, ruins the game.
Yeah.
Even for the Carlton fans in front of us were like, oh, well, we've won the game.
Yeah.
Ruined the whole atmosphere of the ground. All because this umpire was butthurt that he may have sworn at him.
Yeah. But didn't actually hear what he said. But because he looked at him, that meant he was talking to him, and he said fuck, so it must be directed at him.
Yeah. How about you go and work in a fucking work as a tradie, and if you hear the word fuck, you think, oh. That's like saying the word end in Australia. If someone says the word fuck, get over it. Fuck me. See? Did you take that to heart?
Yeah.
Alright, you're going to have to leave for four weeks after that.
Yeah.
Get fucking over it. And I think all of this could have been sorted out by the umpire going, even if the umpire was angry and heated, he went, oi, what did you just say? And Jordan Clark, if it was not, like, you can tell as an umpire, you can tell as someone, if someone got angry at you, you would know if they're being honest or they're like joking. Like if I accidentally say something to my wife, when you're like in an argument with your wife or something, and you say something and she calls you out and says, what did you just say? And you go, when you said something wrong, you probably shouldn't have said it in the argument. You're just a little bit angry, you're just a little bit frustrated, you want to vent a little bit. You would know as the umpire, oh, he's lying. But if Jordan Clark turned around and said, oh, no, I'm just angry at the moment because I just made a mistake. I fucked up. I'm sorry. I didn't say it to you.
Yeah.
All that had to happen. The umpire had, but no, he got his little finger up and he's like, no, that's a free kick. That's ruining the game of football. Get over it. The amount of times they fuck. All right, we're gonna stop talking about this because we could whine on about this for an hour. But at the end of the day, that was a huge blight on the fucking Carlton game because it was a really good game of footy. Especially that last quarter. And who knows what would happen in those last... I'm not going to say they should give Fremantle the 4 points. Obviously not. They were in front, Carlton. But it ruined it, in my opinion, the last 20 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Anyway. So to the Fremantle fans, there was a couple of Freo fans that were fucking ropeable. There was a Freo fan from the top who threw his beanie down. He was fucking pissed. And there were 2 Freo fans that left, threw the finger up and said, fuck you. They were fucking pissed. There was a huge bunch of them too. So, yeah, if you are a Freo fan and you watch that moment, trust me, there are more people that are on your side than not. And don't read the fucking stupid comments on Facebook and all that sort of stuff, on Instagram and stuff, of Carlton fans going, oh, we still would have won the game. We had more free kicks. Yeah, get over yourself, bro. I don't think any Freo fans saying they would have won. No Freo fans saying that.
No Freo fan is saying that. They're saying that you just,
I mean, they're saying that, look, they're saying, most people are saying the umpire dissent wouldn't have happened if they made the right call about the mark, which is fair enough. I feel like at this point, they should just give up on the mark, really. I feel like most of the time that's going to be paid. And sometimes the umpire picks it up, sometimes they don't. Whatever. But at the end of the day, that umpire dissent decision was a fucking joke.
Yeah.
Get over it. Alright, let's move on because we can keep on going about this. One interesting news part about Gather Round, though, is of course it will be here in 2025, and there will be a game hosted at the Barossa Valley. So that's a pretty interesting one. They do play some Sandful games down there throughout the year, so they will be hosting a game in the Barossa Valley. I think it's about 40-50 minutes away from the Adelaide CBD, so they'll probably be playing a couple of lower teams next year down there. I'll be interested to see if they still play games at Mount Barker. I'm thinking they'll play one at Mount Barker and one at the Barossa.
Yeah.
Because they play 2 down there. I don't think they'll play another 2. I don't think they'll play 2 at the Mount Barker and then 1 at the Barossa. I don't think that will happen because I think they're happy with how Norwood's going.
Yeah.
And how they get the atmosphere around that. But I do think that's a very interesting, very interesting that they're deciding to play at different grounds. I like that. I just really hope next year they do space the games out a little bit better on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's what annoyed a lot of... They couldn't get from... You cost the fans of Carlton and Freo did not go to Mount Barker if they wanted to.
And I think as well, the Sydney game got that's the reason why it wasn't fully packed as well. That would have been... Because the capacity was 10,000. And look, it was pretty close, obviously. But, for Swans fans like me, I was pretty disappointed that, I was disappointed by how we played in that first half. I'll be honest with you. But I was kind of hoping at one point that if Sydney were to run away with it, that we were able to get to the other game.
Yeah.
A little bit earlier. Because I'm like, look, I love to watch the Swans, obviously. And I wanted to be there for the whole game. But let's be honest, they weren't... I don't even remember if they were going around the ground. But even if they did, they weren't going to, be there forever. And I kind of wanted to have that experience as well. Because I kind of wanted to go down, see the other... see the Swans players if they were going to go around the ground and give a high five and thanks to the fans. If they did. Look, they obviously have the training stuff beforehand, which is where they meet the fans, which is obviously fair enough. I missed that because I was working on that Friday. But yeah, I think that would have been a little bit better if they did space it out a bit more. Because I think they actually did it better last year, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that was the reason for that. They spaced it out better last year was because they had the extra Sunday game at Adelaide Oval. So the early Sunday game, which obviously was at Mount Barker this year. I kept on thinking I'm going to say Mount Gambier, and I said Mount Barker. I did it well and right to that point. Anyway, so that's really good, and it'll be in SA for the next couple of years. I will mention the Tom Morris tweet about him saying in 2028 they're going to potentially have 3 gather rounds, one in Sydney, one in Adelaide, and then one in Melbourne and Tasmania. But look, if you took that seriously, you're a bit of a moron. You may not have seen Tom Morris's tweets in the past. Just every single time I see a tweet from him, I just make a funny joke about how Clayton Oliver's still wearing a Melbourne jumper. So if you ever see Tom Morris tweet and for some reason it gets in your feed, all you have to do is go to the comments section, maybe tag me in it because that'd be pretty cool. Boundary Riders, just say, Boundary Riders, is Clayton Oliver still wearing a Melbourne jumper? And I'll give you a like, and we'll see what happens. What do you think? I think it'd be pretty cool. I would love if we get big enough one day. That all we do is just push our fans to just spam funny jokes under the Tom Morris tweets. Yeah. That would be sick. I really hope that happens. Anyway, guys, that's the only reason why we want to get big in the future is because we want to just troll Tom Morris. That's the best part. All right, let's move on. We've got one more thing about Gather Round, and it may have been something that no one remembers because this is right back on Wednesday, and no one really looked at it. Was the fight night on Wednesday night was broadcast on Stan Sport, I believe, and oh boy, was there no one giving a fuck about this. So I don't even know if it was for charity. Was it for charity or was it just a fight for
think there was.
Bullshit.
I don't even know. I don't
Well, if you're the charity, I'm sorry, but you got fucking gypped out of a lot. Because if you saw the highlights on TikTok or on, I think they posted it somewhere. Who knows? Because no one really gave a fuck about it. But there were a couple of posts of the Nathan Brown v Kane Corns fight, if you could even call it that. Nathan Brown won, if you didn't know. Yippee, who gives a fuck? The crowd behind them, there is more at a year 6 play than this fucking venue right now. It was done at the Adelaide 36ers venue. Arena, that's the one. So, you know, not many people were going to go to that anyway. I thought it would be a little bit more populated. I thought it was like going to be interesting, but people just showed up on Thursday.
Yeah.
You know, I saw a couple of like AFL content creators coming over here for Gather Round. And most of them came in on Thursday, but some of them who, you know, came here on the Wednesday, none of them went. A lot of them went to the Holy Moly in fucking Adelaide, which seems like a lot more fun. So, all the people who were interested about that, hopefully I don't think they'll do that next year. No. The best way they can do it is if they put it on Thursday night before the AFL game. I think that would be actually quite interesting. Because they've had boxing at like AFL grounds before. Yeah. So maybe they could just do that again. I don't know. I will say one thing though. Thank fuck the hype crew weren't there.
Yeah, that was the one positive that came out of this year. That they didn't.
Oh, there are a lot of positives, but that's the biggest one. So if you don't know, there was the hype crew at the first Gather Round, and what they were basically like 6 dancers that were very cringe, and no one liked them at all. No. And there were still the DJs, and there was a couple of DJs that were actually quite good. They were like bringing up the hype. There was this one DJ who was like doing finger movements, and it's like, bro, I could do that. I mean, it's bad enough your job is basically just turning nozzles, but the least you could do is like, you know, look excited to be there. And he was like playing Bon Jovi, like Living on a Prayer, and he was going, well, he was like, living on a prayer. I was like, bro, come on, I can put more effort in. If you're not happy to be here, don't take the job. Yeah. I mean, fucking hell, it's not like you're working at Macca's. Like, I understand people being angry when you're at Macca's, alright? But if you're fucking the DJ at a big event in the AFL, get a little bit hyped about it. You know? Be a little bit excited. Anyway, I thought that was quite interesting. I think they did say at the end of the 5 days as well, the smartest fans were the North Melbourne fans, I believe, in that trivia, which I thought was quite fun. I don't think they're that smart though. They're American from North Melbourne. So anyway.
Well, when you looked at it, what was it? The top 4 were the bottom 4 of the actual AFL.
Yeah, I was surprised that Gold Coast had enough fans to be up there. But anyway, that was very interesting. All right, one more thing I want to talk about before we get into our Flog of the Week. This is actually going to be a very long podcast, I just realised. So, both Port Adelaide and the Crows want to leave the SANFL. I think that's been known for a couple of weeks now. Yeah. They want to move on, so they're trying to plan for 2025 to move to the VFL. But a lot of talk has been talking about the AFL wanting a reserves league. Now, at this stage, if the Adelaide Crows and Port move to the VFL, 2 clubs remain outside of it. That would be the West Coast Eagles and Fremantle. Fremantle obviously have their affiliation with Peel Thunder in the Waffle, and West Coast have their own team. So people have been asking what will happen with them, if they are going to move straight to a league or if they're going to stay in the Waffle. So Fremantle actually came out with a quote saying, "We'll always review what is best for our players in terms of preparing them for AFL football, and as it stands, the current arrangement is best for our program," which kind of suggests to me that they're not really thinking about moving at all. No. So I do think it's very funny though that if a lot of people who are outside of South Australia probably wouldn't know this, but neither Port Adelaide's team or the Adelaide Crows reserves have got anywhere near a SANFL grand final. Oh no, the Port Magpies have made it a couple of times, haven't they? But they've lost pretty convincingly in the games too. I might add. That is both the teams that we barrack for as well. So we're not saying that lightly, but basically what that's going to mean is it's going to be almost the end of the SANFL. Like, I'm not saying that I can't see like a lot of the crowds like if you go to like the Port Power games, then go to the Port Magpies games the day after. Not a lot of them. Like there's only like 3,000 there, but I can't. They're not going to be. Are they going to be having a Port Magpies team?
I don't know how it would work. And the thing is that if they do go to the VFL, would they travel? Would they travel to the games and watch Port Adelaide play in?
Well, I mean, they do that with the Swans and Brisbane and that, because they have to play in different states as well with the VFL that they're in now.
Yeah, but are they going to get the fans though? Are they going to?
No, I don't think fans matter.
Yeah,
in the VFL, really, I don't think it matters anymore. So I think that's probably not a non-issue really for Port. I don't think they care. Maybe like Port fans who are like travelling to Melbourne to go, like if Port were playing in Melbourne, maybe they would go see the game first. Like I probably would if I was going to see the Swans and they were playing on the day earlier if I was going to Melbourne.
Yeah.
I'd probably go to check them out. But yeah, I don't think that's going to be a big issue for them. I would be very surprised if I'll be very surprised if Port Magpies do go next year. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it, but it's pretty weird that Port Power are pretty easily enough just going, okay, we'll just forget about them.
Yeah.
They've been in the SANFL for so long. They've been one of the most successful teams in football history in Australia. I'm not going to say that they've won 38 premierships, the Port Adelaide Football Club, like Port Power, like Collingwood are more than happy to preach. How many Collingwood fans do we see with that fucking shirt that says 16 premierships? Did you notice? I looked at the fucking shirt. They've only won 3 premierships in the last 20 years. The rest of them are like in the 1950s. Get over yourself. They're not your premierships. Fuck off.
Yeah, well, I just think it's funny how...
You won them in the toddler league.
I'm sorry, but this trivia shit that they did for Gather Round, some of them were wrong. They were saying that how many teams have not won a premiership. They've said...
In the AFL.
In the AFL. It's 4. They were saying it's 3 because St Kilda technically won in 66. That's not the AFL, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. But yeah, I do think it's very interesting that Port Adelaide, I don't want to say just rejecting their history, but the fact that they're just going to leave with not a lot of notice either. They've only been going for it the last not even that, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't been talking about it much at all. And I don't think there's much of a... I just think they just want to leave the SANFL because they want to play, kind of like the Swans and the Brisbane Lions do in a VFL competition. Which, look, overall, I think should be a thing. They should have a reserves league. I think most competitions of other sports do have that.
Yeah.
But the fact that they've just not really done anything about it and they just want to leave it with no real talk about what they're going to do with their actual with the Port Magpies, because they claim to be the one club, which is, I think it's fair enough. But you can't just abandon the Port Magpies now. That's a huge thing. Yeah. They have to talk about it. They have to mention, we are still going to have a Port Magpies team represented in the SANFL. And that's fine. Cool. We want to know. Tell us. I don't think they've mentioned it anywhere. Look, obviously I can do more research on it, but they should be at the forefront of this talk. Are the Port Magpies still going to be in the SANFL? Because if they're not, that is huge.
Yeah.
They are basically the big reason why South Australia got a team. Let's be honest. They were so successful that they said, okay, we need to make this a national competition and bring a South Australian team into the comp. Anyway, let's move on to our favourite segment of the week. It is, of course, the Flog of the Week. Woo! We are back! And this week, we have a fan favourite as the nomination. And I'll go out on a limb here. This is a chance for Flog of the Year. I know it's a big call. It's a bit early. It's only round 4. But this guy has Flog written all over him. Now, we have mentioned him on the episode already. So, he's pretty famous here. Good old Tom Morris is back. Woo!
Finally got it. Yeah.
He finally got it. I thought he was going to be there round 0. But anyway, Tom Morris has got the nomination this week. So, this was quite a while ago. This happened on Monday night last week. He almost got knocked off by Michael Pell, but we couldn't knock off good old Tom.
Tom had to come in calculation to this week.
He had to be this had to be called out because fucking he's a wanker. Anyway, what happened with Tom Morris in Monday last week is this is all to do with the Brisbane situation of I can't even remember who reported on it originally because I didn't really look into it because I knew it was just a bunch of bullshit. And I think people need to start realising that. So many people are like people were taking Tom Morris's Gather Round tweet as such gospel. I'm like, have you seen this guy before? Are you actually blind? I feel like the Tik Tok generation of people is just brain melting people because people can't remember shit anymore. I feel like maybe I wouldn't remember the Tom Morris stuff if I didn't follow it more because he's just such a fan. I just love him. Anyway, so this is all to do with the Brisbane situation. Obviously, there was the reports of Brisbane went to Las Vegas last year after the grand final and something happened over there. One of the players had a girlfriend going into the trip and didn't have one going out of it. I didn't take a lot of looking into it because I thought, I don't think this matters about Brisbane next week. They played a couple of poor games, and some teams really do after grand finals. They don't play well for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
They beat North Melbourne, who cares? They got Melbourne next week. That will be a real test. This week, that's the real test for them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they go to Tom Morris and ask him for his opinion because obviously Channel 9 loves scraping the bottom of the barrel when they've got Tom Morris and Sam McClure on the fucking broadcasting for fucking not only Footy Classified but their other show, Footy Fuckwits or whatever the fuck it's called. So I think that's what it's called anyway. So Tom Morris was asked, what do you think about the story being brought up about Brisbane? And he said, I wouldn't go with a story unless it was affecting field performance, and also said that the story was too tabloid and gossipy, basically. Now, look, I don't follow a lot of Tom Morris's reporting, but if you don't... You, of all people, can't come out and fucking question someone's journalistic standards. You absolute fucking worm. Are you fucking kidding me? You went out last year on a story about Clayton Oliver Melbourne wanting to trade Clayton Oliver. You were so adamant on it. And don't give me this shit of like, oh, well, you know, I did say allegedly or something bullshit. Hey, bro, you were on the forefront of it. You were all over it. You were fucking plastering your face everywhere saying, guys, I said, I'm the one who reported on it. I said that Clayton Oliver was leaving at the end of the year. So when he goes, I'm right. I'm right about everything. Guys, look at me. I'm Tom Morris. Guys, why are you walking away? Oh, I guess I have no friends. That's fair enough. But I'll still keep on talking about Clayton Oliver. Anyway, like I said before, Clayton Oliver, still in a Melbourne jumper. You're reporting, Tom, even though you're not reporting about, you know, parties, you're reporting about someone's AFL career. You are the definition of tabloid gossipy bullshit. You're an absolute fuckwit, Tom. Fuck you. You absolute worm of AFL football journalism. You wanker. You are on par, probably worse than Sam McClure, and that's saying something. Because, fucking hell, the amount of hair gel that he uses, he's pretty slimy. Let's be honest. Anyway, so look, Tom Morris is our flog of the week, and I may go a bit hard on him, but fucking hell, don't you come out and say that.
Yeah.
Don't you come out and say that. You got no fucking right to say that sort of shit. The fact that, look, he has been the real catalyst of, look, I don't want to give him this much credit, but he's been a real reason for the mental downfall of Clayton Oliver the last 6 months, or whatever. I think he would be. Like, the amount of reporting that he has generated, Tom Morris, about Clayton Oliver, he still gets asked in interviews about it.
Yeah.
His off-season, how did you feel about your about the trading news and all that sort of stuff. He is the catalyst for all of these mental problems that Clayton Oliver's been going through. I think so. Like, I know there's probably stuff beforehand because there was obviously... I'm not saying that the meeting stuff about Clayton Oliver, you know, shape up or ship off is not true. I believe that is somewhat true. Okay? But for him to spin up a bunch of bullshit about getting trade requests and all that sort of crap, or Melbourne wanting to trade him, is fucking ridiculous. Which has been amplified so many times in the last, 6 months from Clayton Oliver. And good credit to him. Because he came out and he said, I did some stuff wrong and I'm here to shape up. Good on him. Melbourne came out at the end of last year, I think it was, and said, we never thought of trading Clayton Oliver. And look, I know some people can say, oh, well, they're probably lying. I take their word more than Tom Morris. Okay? Yeah. So, just fuck off, Tom. You fucking wanker. Up yours. And Tom Morris is this week's Flog of the Week. Let's move on. Do you think I nailed that? I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, bit of a rant.
Bit of a rant, like doing that. Anyway, so let's get into round 5. Is it round 5? Opening round's got to mess me up.
Yeah,
I think it's round 5. Cool. So let's start off with the round 5 tips. So we'll get into our league in a minute, but we have some big games coming up. The 2 buys, by the way, Sydney and Collingwood have the buy this week. So, for anyone wondering. But we start on Thursday night, April the 11th, Melbourne versus Brisbane, massive game at the MCG. I have gone with Melbourne. On Friday night, I have gone the Bulldogs over Essendon. Saturday afternoon, I have gone the Giants over the Saints. Saturday evening, I have gone Carlton over the Crows. Saturday night, I have gone the Gold Coast over Hawthorn. On Saturday night as well, I've gone Port Adelaide over Fremantle. And on Sunday, I've gone Geelong over North Melbourne. And afternoon on Sunday, I've gone Richmond over the West Coast Eagles. Now, yes, that is all the favourites, but I feel like this week's I feel like it's going to be a pretty easy week on tips. Knock on wood. Let's get into your tips. Who have you gone for?
I've went Melbourne over Brisbane, the Bulldogs over Essendon, the Giants over the Saints, Carlton over the Crows, the Suns over Hawthorn, Port Adelaide over Freo, Geelong over North Melbourne, and Richmond over the Eagles.
Cool. So we've gone with both the same this week. Yeah, that's pretty fair enough. All right, let's start back at the Melbourne v Brisbane game. So this is a big game for Brisbane. If they don't win this, they're 1-5. 1-4, sorry, because they had the fucking bye. Sorry, I've hardly looked at the ladder this year because of all this opening round shit. I've not looked at it yet because I'm like, it doesn't mean anything yet. When it gets to round, I think it's 7 after Anzac Day. That's when I'm going to start looking at the ladder and taking it seriously. Anyway, big game for Melbourne because they've kind of got a couple of easy teams the last few weeks and they beat the Crows, at Adelaide, which is a good performance, and Port Adelaide was pretty good as well. So this is a big one against Brisbane back at home. They haven't been home for a while.
Devastating. They haven't been in Melbourne to play at home.
Sorry, they haven't played their 15 games a year at fucking Melbourne in the MCG. Sorry, Melbourne. Anyway, this is a big game for them because if they win this one, they are... Well, there's Eagle top right now because GWS and Carlton have got their... GWS's percentage is higher, but Carlton is a little bit lower and they're sitting in 4th spot, I think it is. But, two teams pretty up the top. Melbourne pretty up the top at the moment. Brisbane, they beat North Melbourne, but that doesn't mean much. It did look okay from the moments that I did see of it, but I just feel like Melbourne are getting some cohesion back a little bit, and I just don't trust Brisbane at the moment. They're not playing that good a footy. If Brisbane go ahead and win this game, that does change my opinion of them. I feel like they'll be somewhat back because it's a win at the MCG, but a win against a good side as well. So... for me personally, I think that Joe Danaher can't do enough here against Melbourne's defence. I feel that Stephen May, even though he's still got a bit of an injury concern, he looked pretty well against the Crows. And Jake Lever was very good as well. I feel like Melbourne's defence will hold up well enough that Brisbane won't be able to compete as well up forward. We've obviously got the likes of Danaher going to have to kick a lot of goals here. Charlie Cameron as well hasn't been in the best of form. Lincoln McCarthy and of course Eric Hipwood, who had a couple of good moments against North Melbourne, but a couple of shots that I did see him take, he was very shaky. He's not very confident at the moment. So he's going to have a good performance as well. And right now, Brisbane are conceding quite a lot. I'm taking North Melbourne out of the equation here. They've been conceding quite a lot. And Melbourne obviously struggle up forward. But if Melbourne can get a good path forward from their midfielders, like Petrarca and Oliver and Sparrow's been playing pretty well, and Jack Viney, of course, I think Melbourne will cruise this one pretty well, convincingly. I think it'll be a close game because Melbourne, don't tend to thrash teams. But I do think that Melbourne are going to be the better team overnight and won overall. How are you feeling about the game?
Yeah, I think it's going to be won mostly in the midfield, like pretty much fucking every game. But I just think that the fact that Oliver looks like he's coming back into form, Petrarca's played well all season, same with Viney. Gorn has been dominating the last month of football.
Yeah, he's only had one bad game. Yeah. People call him for his career.
Yeah, people call him for his career after round 0.
I will mention that I didn't, by the way. I said that he had a pretty tough game.
Yeah.
So, I'm not out here trying to tabloid clickbait bullshit, but, trustworthy source right here, guys.
Yeah. And, they beat North Melbourne. Who takes credit out of beating North Melbourne at the moment?
Well, yeah, I don't think so.
So, I think that Brisbane just don't look at the moment as the team they were.
Yeah.
And, Melbourne just look too good at the moment and in the top 3 at the moment for the premiership at the moment.
Really?
Top 3.
Because at the start of the year, you picked them.
Yeah, I know, I did, but the way they're playing at the moment, they just look really good at the moment, but that's
a pretty good call going in. Alright. By the way, we actually saw over the weekend Alex Pearce, the worst defender in the comp, and he played pretty well. Well, actually, he had some bad moments towards the end of the game.
Yeah, because he cost his team the
Well, he did.
He's the captain, but
it's his fault.
He's driving the standards.
A little drive-by from Freo there, anyway. Friday night, interesting game, Bulldogs versus Essendon. Essendon need to respond because they played terribly against Port Adelaide.
So we're going to see Essendon edge this week, or
we'll see the pillow edge anyway.
Yeah,
it'll be like a little bit of a soft pillow. They were dreadful against Port Adelaide. In the first quarter, they were okay, but after that, that was the one game at the Gather Round that I thought, fuck, that was bad.
Yeah.
That was really bad. I really thought, I did say it in the tips last week, I thought Essendon would give Port a good run for their money. I thought they had a really good game against the Saints the week before. They played okay against Sydney for times. I thought this was going to be the response. I thought, okay, great, this is going to be a really good game of footy. And Essendon didn't.
They didn't fire a shot.
They did fire a shot.
Yeah.
They didn't look. This Essendon edge was crap. Zach Merritt, that was one of the worst games I've seen from him in a while. Now, look, I know he had 35 touches. People are going to say, oh yeah, but he had 35 touches. He had a lot of touches and he did really well with it. This Zach Merritt, I've been really impressed with the last 12 months or so because of the way he's bringing his tackle pressure into the midfield and the way that he's been playing a lot more running, two-way running or whatever. That's what I've really been like to see of Zach Merritt. So I don't want to take that away from him. But he looked the Zach Merritt of old. The 30 touches, not doing fuck all with it. That's the sort of Zach Merritt I was seeing 18 months ago. And that's not what they want to. I don't think that's what you want to see as a Essendon supporter. Because Darcy Parish, he's a very good midfielder, but he's not the top echelon. He's not the Marcus Bontempellis.
No,
he's not gonna. I don't think he ever will be that if he doesn't continue to perform. And that's where Zach Merritt was. And if he continues to play like that on Friday night, he's going to drop back again. He needs to bring more defensive two-way running, and he didn't play very well at all. That's just my opinion. Maybe people can differ. That's totally fine. But that's just my opinion on Zach Merritt. I just think the Bulldogs, look, they didn't play well for the first half, but I do think they're going to be a little bit more potent up forward. And, still Peter Wright will be out. So that's another big loss for Essendon. And right now, if Essendon don't win that midfield battle pretty convincingly, I don't think they can kick a winning score at all. And Jake Stringer had a pretty poor performance as well. Jay Gresham had a good 20 minutes in that game when he kicked 2 goals early. 3 goals? 2 goals. 2 goals early. Yeah, he looked dangerous early and didn't show up after that. Ben Mackay was actually one of their better players. He actually looked okay.
I thought he was the only good player in the game for Essendon.
Yeah, he's definitely worth the 800k.
Well, to be honest, he's playing close to that money at the moment. He's the only one that's performing.
Yeah.
It's pretty much every game, I'd say.
Yeah. So I would say he's played pretty well. But other than that, Port Adelaide ran over them pretty easily and didn't even fire a shot. And if Essendon don't bring anything next week, who knows? Maybe because it's back at Marvel, they like that sort of ground. Maybe they'll be playing a little bit better. I just think I can't tip the Bombers after that performance. I think the Bulldogs go and win. And I think they showed some signs late in the game last week that they, are a better team than the Bombers by a pretty big shot.
Yeah.
What have you gone?
I've pretty much, I just can't see Essendon kicking winning score at the moment. With Liam Jones and Buku Kama's playing well in the back line. No Peter Wright. Langford's been down in the last couple of weeks.
He did nothing in that game.
He was hardly seen.
I was one of his biggest. I'm one of his biggest supporters too. I think he's one of the very most underrated players in the comp, and he did not look good at all. To be fair, the delivery inside forward 50 for him on the weekend was fucking dreadful too. They were kicking over his head all game.
And Stringer played his one good game of the season against St Kilda, and that was apparently.
Yeah, I think we got a contract from that. He thought that so.
Yeah, the midfield battle, I just don't think they can win. With the fact is that Bontempelli looks back into form after the weekend. Liberatore's played well all season. Tim English, he'll be more agile than Draper and Goldstein. Yeah. He'll be able to run him ragged.
Yeah, he has the tank to do that.
Yeah, he'll run him ragged all week, so that should be a pretty easy win, I think.
Pretty easy win for the Bulldogs?
Yeah, I think so. If they want to show that they can actually perform.
Yeah, have to perform well on that one. Alright, then to... I wouldn't say it's the game of the round because I think it's Melbourne v Brisbane. But another big game, Port Adelaide v Fremantle at Adelaide Oval. So, big game though. I think Fremantle are a bit of a chance here. I feel like they're going to try and respond from last week. Well, the situation with Jordan Clark, obviously we ranted about that for half an hour. I give Freo a chance here, but I just think Port Adelaide are a little bit more... I feel like their midfield is a little bit stronger here, Port Adelaide's. And after the Connor Rozee game last week, he's in some decent form to say the least. Connor Rozee, I feel like he's going to be a little bit too slick for the Fremantle midfield. And even though Port's defence I think is still a little bit shaky, I feel like against Fremantle's forward line, I feel like they can hold up. And Port Adelaide, I think, should be good enough. Jeremy Finlayson out, I don't think it's a massive loss for them. I think he'll get suspended. I think he'll be more than capable up there. Mitch Georgiades had a pretty good performance in his first game back after nearly a year off with injury. Todd Marshall, I think, will be okay. And Charlie Dixon, I think, will give him something. So I think the Fremantle, match up okay in defence. But whoever's on the Jack Draper, the young guy, has to take advantage of that. Because I think that's what Carlton did in the end as well.
Yeah.
Because they were able to take Draper back to the goal square and then with Kerno and get some space late in the game. So I think that's what they're going to have to do, Port Adelaide, to get some space. If it's Georgiades on him, I think it probably will be. They have to get some space. And I think that whoever's on Luke Ryan as well, I think it would be Todd Marshall. I think Marshall can out-muscle him as well. So that's kind of what I've gone with there. I think Port will be too classy in the midfield, and I think their forward line will be good enough to win it. But in saying that, Fremantle have been very good in defence this year, and I think they're getting in for a big response as well. And plus, they're playing back at Adelaide Oval. They've already played there for a week, so it's not like they played pretty well at the Adelaide Oval as well. That game, anyway. Yeah. So what are you thinking with the Port game?
I think it's more that, yes, what Finlayson did was stupid, should not have done it. But he'll get suspended, and it'll probably be a good thing for Port Adelaide in a way, because they had such a tool for a team against Essendon, and it's not going to work against Freo. So I think in a way it's probably a good thing. I think they'll bring another small forward in, help them out. I think the forward line for Freo is just not going to cope with Port Adelaide's defence. They just don't look as potent as what they have been. I think their defence is held up so well so far this season.
Yeah.
I just don't know if Freo can kick a winning score. And with Radicalias, Aaliyah and Zerk Thatcher, I think they can juggle it of the intercept marking, and I think
Zerk Thatcher plays up well on Amos, who's quite lanky himself, and whoever goes on Josh Tracy, I feel like that's a Radicalias sort of role.
Yeah, so, I think Aaliyah could have a big day against Freo this week.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough to say. Yeah, that's basically all the tips we have for this week, guys. So let us know your tips down below, and let's move into quickly checking out the AFL tipping comp for our channel, basically. I'm currently sitting in 6th spot, went up this week. Go me, I'm insane. I got 8 tips this week. It was a pretty easy week. Most people got 8. We've got a couple of people who hit 9 this week, so quickly shout out to them. Brandon, Brett, Kirsty and Rachel, all with the big 9 this week. So congratulations to all of them. They got all the tips. Most people got 8. One person got 6. Johnny, brother, got to do better than that. That was a pretty simple week. Let's be honest. The only one I tipped different was the Freo Carlton game, which was wrong. Anyway, looking at it right now, Brandon still leads up the top with the 31 tips. He's done brilliantly so far. Leads by 2 tips on everyone. Got a pretty commanding lead. He's got a 2-win lead at the moment. Brett on 29 with Kirsty and Rachel. So everyone who got 9 also is on top. So
perfect.
They're obviously cheating. Anyway, and right down the bottom is Brooke. Oh, I didn't even look all the way down. Brooke got 5. Ooh. Sorry, Brooke, but that's pretty embarrassing. I'm going to be honest with you. That is not very good at all. 5 tips. She's kind of sitting on 23 as well. That's not very good at all. I scrolled all the way down. So, and then Daniel down there as well with 7. Come on, brother, you got to do better than that. So I'm sitting in 6th spot with 27 tips. You were sitting in 11th with 25.
My margin's fucked.
Yeah, 124. Mine's even worse. Mine's 148. And Brandon up the top's on 126. He's got a pretty bad percentage. He's like basically had 1 loss in a game, and he's like right down there. He's got like 80% right now. Yeah. Looking at the AFL, but he's got a 2-tip lead, so he started off very well. So that's really all the stuff we've got to talk about on the tipping side, guys. So let's break down our AFL fantasy performance on the weekend. Now, I did okay. I got 2006, which look isn't massive, but I mean I'll take it. Tom Green only got 88. I was a bit disappointed by that. I should have taken the vice captain Harry Sheasel 121, but you win some, you lose some, I guess. Good defensive plays from 4 of the 6 players. Elliot Yeo played really well with the 108. Really good from him. Howes is got to go after when they have the bye next week. I'm keeping him for 1 more week, and then I've got to get rid of him. His price is going to start to plummet down. So his price didn't change this week, so his break-even is going to be high. Looking at the midfield, great game from Nick Martin on the fantasy front. I don't think he did much in the game, but anyway. Marcus Bontempelli was massive. We already talked about that earlier, but what a game from Bontempelli. Yeah. 149 was massive. Ruck as well. Max Gorn had a good performance. Brody Grundy, we'll take that. Flanders and Powell, fuck Powell. Powell in the end, I think, had 14 tackles I was mentioning before.
Yeah, he had 15.
No, he had 15 tackles and 14 touches. That's what it was. Yeah. So good on you, Powell. He got 60 points off. So he had 29 from everything else. He got 60 points through his tackles. That's what you do.
That's how you play fantasy.
That's how you play AFL fantasy. He did it for us. Thank you, Tom. You did it for us. Good performance as well from Wilson. He got 79. Now, Sanders and Sharp I do have in my team, but they're on the bench, and what a performance Sharp had. He was massive for Freo.
Just watching the second half, just seeing, I can see why he was on the list so quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I get salary cap shit from Gold Coast, but
he was good.
It was a bargain. It was a bargain for Freo.
Well, delisted free agent, I think he was, wasn't he? Yeah. So moving on, we talk about the trades. So this week I finally got rid of Zach Reed. I feel like that's going to be the case. I think I've said that a couple of weeks in a row now. But I've finally got rid of him this week. I've picked up the new rookie for the Gold Coast, Sam Clousey, I think that it is. Had a massive debut game for the Gold Coast Suns. He was one of the big recruits off in the draft that the Gold Coast picked up. He was priced at 200. He's now 253. Scored over 90. What a massive performance from him. And he's just going to go. He was really good in that game as well, watching it. He was really good on the wings for them, so he's a must-get, I think, if you need a basement defender, get him now, because I feel like he's going to be pretty low. I don't think he's going to be low for very long. In my other trade, I've got rid of James Jordan. Unfortunately, on the fantasy front, he hasn't really done much for Sydney, and they've got the bye this week, so I thought it was best to get rid of him now. And at the moment, I'm going with Ollie Dempsey. Now, the main reason why I've done that is because in the next week or so, I'm going to start moving, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to start moving some rookies out, like the Melbourne ones, Windsor and Howes are my ones I'm going to get rid of next week. And also, if you don't remember as well, the position change is coming next week as well. So with that, I'm thinking that Matt Roberts will get that defensive status. So
surely. He's played, that's where he's played.
Yeah. So I'll move him defense, and then we'll move that around with the Howes stuff. Probably try and pick up a decent midfielder at this stage. And then, trade out Windsor for a... actually, no, I'm not going to get rid of... I'm not going to get a midfielder, sorry, because I'll move Sharp or Sanders into the midfield. And then probably try and get Windsor to a decent forward. I don't know if I can hit Heaney. I would love to, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get there.
At the moment, it'd be very hard.
I'm going to need at least 600k in the bank just to bring him in. But that's kind of where I'm leaning to at the moment. My current rank right now is 38,000. Holy shit. This is actually the worst I've ever started. So that big talk from me at the start of the season
bit you in the
bit me in the ass 100%. I've had a really poor start. That's pretty much all of my stuff. So what are you looking at this week? How'd you go?
Well, to be honest, I was shitter than you. So when I think the first
you're not even in 2K.
No, I got 1,967. So I played like dog shit. I captained Green, so that was stupid of me.
I did that.
Yeah. Some of the players that I bought in the last couple of weeks, D'Ambrosio and Salem, they both got less than 70. So that's
luckily for me, I've kind of noticed that my trades haven't been too bad. I've done pretty well with them, like Bonner and that, which was like a bit of a gamble. Bonner's done okay for me. But what are you looking at?
And then some of like the other rookies, which would like McCurger had his worst game, so did Roberts.
Yeah, I hated that too because those two did pretty bad, and then both my rookies on the bench were Sharp and Sanders, and they both got over 80.
Yeah, and then you get Sharp with 106. I had Harley Reid still with a 78 on my bench. Darcy Wilson 79. So I had some good scores on my bench, which was annoying because that's just a hit and miss with the rookie sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you just get. Sometimes I feel like you pick the rookie and then the other ones score well. Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing. What are you looking for trades?
So this week I've just got I got rid of Charlie Dean for the Collingwood since they have the bye and he's not even playing in the moment, and I got Sam Clousey. And I got rid of Jai Clark, and I got Will Graham, the other debutant that played for the Gold Coast.
Yeah, he did pretty well as well. Not as well. He got 65, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he got like in the 60s, so he didn't do that well, but that's decent enough.
Yeah, 63.
Yeah, so not too bad. What are you looking at for the rankings? What are you looking to do in the next couple of weeks?
So next week, I'm probably going to get rid of James Jordan since they were coming out of the bye, but I just think that there's no point of it keeping him. He's got a high break even. I'll probably get rid of Howes next week since they're coming into the bye. Get rid of him for a basement player, and try with the Jordan the money I'll get from that. So I'll probably have about 250, and I'll get rid of James Jordan, and we'll get about 800k. Look for a probably another forward that's playing well.
Yeah, well, Dane Zorko is probably up there now. Not as high as Heaney, but he's up there. He's like a good choice. There's not a lot, though. A lot of the forwards are still not doing that well. I'll be interested to see how the AFL positions changes if it helps on the forward side. Because right now, I don't know if it's going to help too much. I think a lot more on the defensive side. I think Matt Roberts getting defensive status will be happening. Nick Martin's going to get it as well, which is really big. I'm going to love putting him back into defence later. I feel like my defence is almost set for the year.
Yeah.
If I chuck Nick Martin in the back and then Matt Roberts in the back, I feel like that's the only one I'm going to change at the end of the year. Because I've got currently Zach Williams as well, but he's not doing much for me. And that's pretty much what I'm looking at for the rest of the year. So I feel my defence is pretty set. My midfield needs some changes, but that's really it for that. Let's move into your rank. What are you looking at here?
34,026.
That's how bad I'm doing.
We are playing like absolute shit at the moment.
Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing for both of us.
I think
if I can finish in the top 20,000 now, I'd be pretty happy after the start I've had.
Last season when I did my trades, it normally worked, and I did get hit by injuries. This year I haven't really nailed my trades, and I haven't been hit by injuries, but the trades just haven't worked for me at the moment.
Yeah, and I've likely hit the right trades, but I need to make a lot more, which is like my team started pretty poorly, and I did get hit by injuries early as well.
And I just think that if I didn't, I should have taken the risk and went with Heaney to start off with. I was like, no, he's fucked me in the past, but
that was similar like Zach Butters. Last year I made the decision to pick Zach Butters. Because remember last year he was like the Heaney of this year. Zach Butters in the forward line. I went with it. I went, yeah, I'm gonna go get him. And so same with Rosie.
Yeah.
I went, yep, I'm gonna get them. I started with Rosie here, massive year.
Yeah.
Zach Butters, I started in the forward line, massive year.
Yeah.
Bound to Rudders medalist.
Yeah. and just the mid-price midfielders that I should have started with, like Nick Martin, Riley Bonner, some of those mid-price players that just aren't. Yeah, doing too high now.
Yeah, Riley Bonner, what's he sitting at now? He's probably sitting around 700k. Sitting at 659. Oh, maybe one more week you can maybe get him.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, 659. You may have to rethink your trades. Let's quickly take a look at our AFL Fantasy League, of course, with you guys. I lost again this week. I've only won the one game. Introverted Banana. Great work, Graham. You beat me by 81 points, which is a very tough loss when I know I could have beaten that. I had a reserve. If I had swapped McKercher for Sharp and then changed my captain and took the Sheasel vice captain, I win that game.
Yeah.
So a little bit disappointing on that front. I pussied out. I could have picked Sheasel as my vice. I wondered, and I thought, no, because Graham's got the captain on Tom Green, I'm going to leave it. So at least I don't lose. And that kind of fucked me in the end as well. Because that was an extra 40... That would have been nearly an extra 70 points. That may have knocked me over, actually, if I looked at it more in depth. Nonetheless, I am 13th, so I actually I went down, but I feel like I've gone up after that. Anyway, luckily my percentage isn't too bad. It's only at 98, so it's not the worst, and I'm not sitting at the worst of the teams with one win, so that's okay. Looking at it right now, the leader is Colin Smith. Kegaboom! Congratulations, bro. And you are on 4 wins, have a pretty good percentage right now. You got 110 percentage, so you've had a pretty good start to it, and a pretty good total as well, with 7,800. He's actually 8th on the overall ladder right now, so he's actually not doing that well, really. But he's just won his games. He's done well. He's played the bottom teams and he's won them. He's done what he's had to do early. He's had to just convert into wins. Currently, the overall leader on points wise is Pranav Dio. Congratulations, dude. And by the way, the team that I did lose to last week, is the second best team on points wise. So I nearly beat him. But anyway.
Yeah, well, that Pranav.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry
completely butchering the name. No, he's ranked in the top 5,000. So he's
bloody. Yeah. He's just bloody stealing money from us at this point. So if you don't remember, guys, the winners of our AFL Fantasy Comp and AFL Tipping Comps will be winning a $125 gift voucher to the AFL store, as well as a design from a very own football print business company, whatever you want to call it, BR Designs. You'll get an A3 print from them. And while we're here, we might as well mention it because, we haven't mentioned it yet. BR Designs is our very own AFL football print company. We make designs for every single team in the AFL currently. We've got some new designs coming in the future. I am making them. Sorry, this whole weekend I haven't been able to do shit. I haven't even done the review, finished recording it yet. I've got to do that when you leave for the podcast. And it's currently 6 o'clock right now, so it's going to be a long night for me. But anyway, love doing it. Back to the BR Designs. If you want to go check out those prints, the link is down below. And if you use the code BRPOD, you will get 10% off your purchase. And yeah, even if you don't want to buy them, maybe just go check them out, see what you think about them, leave some feedback on it on the comments down below. And yeah, we haven't got a lot about world sport this week, and this podcast has been going for nearly an hour and 20 minutes because of our 30-minute rant about the umpiring. So if you enjoyed that, make sure to let us know. But I don't think we'll do the world sport stuff this week, guys. Just a quick mention that Arsenal are on top on the Premier League. That's pretty much all we need to say.
Liverpool choked against the United, so...
Yeah, I haven't watched the highlights yet, so they lose that game, did they?
No, they drew.
Oh, okay. So they drew that game. So currently they're in second spot at the moment. But a big Premier League season ending coming up. There wasn't really much else to talk about, really. I think there'll be more stuff we'll talk about next week. But there's a lot of stuff in the footy. So, I mean, you guys here are for footy anyway. Let's be honest. Yeah, that's all from us, guys. If you did enjoy this episode of the Boundary Riders podcast, I think it's episode 58. Let's just call it that. Make sure to leave us 5 stars over on Spotify if you are listening. And also make sure to leave us a follow. I see you guys listening over there, so start leaving that 5-star review, you dogs. Anyway, yeah, it doesn't cost you anything either, so just do it. Leave us 5 stars, make sure to follow so you're notified on every single episode, and also on the review you'll be notified as well. And of course, if you are on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. We do have a... we did hit 500 subscribers, which is a really big achievement for us. We want to hit 1,000 by the end of the year, and I think we can do that pretty easily. I didn't think we were going to go... I think we've gone pretty big at the start of the season. There's still so much of the footy season to go. Yeah. So I think we'll hit 1,000. But of course, if you want to try and join the army, join the team, join the club, make sure to subscribe right now. Like this episode of the podcast. And also, we have opened up channel membership, which is similar to Patreon. It'll be exactly the same as the Patreon, basically. If you want to support us on Patreon, basically... we get a little bit extra back from it. If you want to support us on membership, you'll get a bunch of exclusive stuff for live streams and stuff. So either way, we'll be happy for you to do it. You get a bunch of exclusive perks, like you get 15% discount on all the BR designs that we make in the future and now. 15%, you get a discount code that is bigger than anything that we'll give to anyone else. You'll also get early access to videos from this channel. So we've already got one of those mini docos that I've been making, short form videos or whatever, the 10-minute doco ones that I've been making. You get that early. We've already got one up right now that hasn't been released yet. Probably won't be released for another couple of weeks for the Sydney Swans. So if that interests you, then make sure to go check it out. You also get access to the live stream for our other podcast, the Twinners podcast. Sort of more of a comedy news sort of stuff that we cover, which is quite funny and interesting. So if that interests you, then make sure to click the link down below for Patreon or for the channel membership. Like I said, channel membership, you get more stuff for live streams and stuff, like extra badges, and you'll be seen more in the comments because you'll have those badges on there. If you want to be on Patreon, basically, we get a better cut on revenue split, because I think Patreon take a bunch. Well, they don't take that much, but... sorry, I think YouTube take more. I think they take 30%, while Patreon only takes about 10%. But if you don't care about that, you just want the perks on the live streams and stuff, then yeah, go with channel membership. We don't mind. But thank you very much for listening and watching, and we will catch you all next week.
See you later, guys.